Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Justin. I'm a realtor here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I specialize in helping people relocate to the area from other states. Let's break down the best neighborhoods near Fort Liberty so that you guys can have the perfect place to call home. So before we jump into the list, there are some key factors that you should consider when you're choosing one of these neighborhoods. First thing that you have to consider is the commute time. Some people are okay with a 30+ minute drive to go into work every morning, but some people that's just way too long. Second thing that we're going to take a look at are home prices and how compatible the homes in that neighborhoods typically are with VA loans. Now, for those of you who don't know, VA loans tend to be some of the stricter loan types that are out there. So we want to look at historically what type of loan is typically being sold in that area, or just some things to keep an eye out for when you're using a VA loan in these neighborhoods. The third thing that we're going to be taking a look at are schools and how close by local amenities are. Those of you with kids, you want to choose a quality school for your children, but at the same time, not have to drive 20-30 minutes just to get to a Food Lion. The fourth and final thing that we will look at with every single neighborhood is the crime in the area. So with all that being said, let's take a look at the first neighborhood on the list, and that is Haymount. Commute time from Haymount to Fort Liberty is generally speaking somewhere around 15 to 20 minutes. Home prices in the Haymount neighborhood, they will vary, but typically you could expect anywhere from $200,000 all the way up to $500,000. Now, as far as home friendliness or home compatibility with VA loans, Haymount is one of those neighborhoods. Because it's older, I typically have to keep an eye out for certain things that might come up on the home inspection. A general rule of thumb that I have is the older the home is, the larger the margin of error is that things may be wrong with it. You have to take in consideration the age of plumbing, the age of electrical work. Most homeowners don't know the exact date of when their roof was replaced, so it's important to keep your eye out for those sorts of things. Compatibility with VA loans overall, I would say, is probably low. Next thing on the Haymount neighborhood are the schools in the area. So I'm only going to be going over the high school that most of Haymount falls under, and that is Terry Sanford High School. According to niche.com, which is the website I'm using for all of these schools' ratings, Terry Sanford's overall grade was a B. It is also ranked number 9 for best public high schools in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Terry Sanford has roughly 1,200 students there, and it does offer AP courses or advanced placement courses for your children. So Terry Sanford, and really Haymount in general, they are really centrally located to all of Fayetteville, so any sort of shopping that you want to do, it's all relatively close by. I would say 15 to 20 minutes. At most. Downtown Fayetteville is just a quick drive down the road, and there's tons of local shops, local restaurants, and just things to do there that most of Fayetteville doesn't really offer. Last but not least, crime in the area. My go-to website to look up any sort of crime fads in Fayetteville is the Fayetteville Police Department's crime mapping website. Most other websites and reports you do have to pay for. However, the Fayetteville Police Department's crime mapping website, it is completely free. The only gimmick with it is you can't really compare an area as a whole, or it doesn't rate it as a whole, whether it's high crime or low crime. You kind of have to take that assessment yourself. However, what I did was I clicked basically right in the middle where Fort Bragg Road and Morganton Road, where they both meet and they turn into Hay Street. That's where I clicked. I went a mile out from that radius, and I went as far back as 6 months, and I pulled up all the recent crime. Here's the report that it pulled up right here. As you can see, 162 total crimes committed within the past 6 months, and it actually does break it down by category. Now, within this website, you can actually look at each individual crime and see what it was, so it's really a great tool that you guys should be using. The second neighborhood that we are going to be taking a look at is the Kings Grant neighborhood. Commute time from Kings Grant to Fort Liberty is generally speaking going to be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. Now, one of the best things about being located in this neighborhood is that it is very close to I-295, which is the highway right there, and that takes you basically anywhere you want to go in Fayetteville. For home prices in this neighborhood, it really does vary because there are condos that are listed in this neighborhood, but also single-family residence homes. If we're going to include condos, it can go as low as $150,000 all the way up to $600,000 plus. If we're not going to include condos, I would say anywhere from $300,000 and again up to $600,000 plus. As far as VA loan compatibility goes, Kings Grant, I would say, is probably on the brighter side of VA loan compatibility. Reason being is that most homes in this neighborhood are built around the early 2000s era. However, they are still developing newer homes in this neighborhood. That just means a lot more things are up to what the code is nowadays. It's more unlikely for those kinds of things to show up with homes in this neighborhood. Moving on to the local school. So again, I'm just going over the high school. Most of the Kings Grant neighborhood falls under the Pine Forest High School district. Now, according to niche.com, Pine Forest High School ranked as a B- overall. The school has roughly 1,500 students, and they also offer AP courses. Now, what makes Kings Grant a lot different than, say, Haymount is parts of Kings Grant are actually gated, so you can oftentimes feel excluded from the rest of Fayetteville. Most of Kings Grant is built around the 18-hole golf course that they have. Now, I do dabble in golf a little bit, and what I can say is that this golf course, it's a little bit more challenging. That's definitely a really good golf course to try out. Now, commute times for groceries and all of that. Kings Grant neighborhood lies off of Ramsey Street. There are all kinds of shopping amenities that are off Ramsey Street. For example, there's a Walmart, a Lowe's, there's a Food Lion, there's an Aldi. But even on top of that, if you're looking for local restaurants, there's a bunch of restaurants off of Ramsey Street that you could look into. My favorite one for that area is the Super Wing Station. But man, if you're looking for some good hibachi food with some fried wings, that place is the absolute bomb. So yeah, basically everything that you need is going to be nearby. So again, using the Fayetteville Police Department's crime mapping tool, here's what came up. I tried to click as central to the Kings Grant neighborhood as possible. Now keep in mind, it's very hard. I can't just make an outline of the Kings Grant neighborhood. I can only click on a certain point and it goes out from there. So some of these crimes, they actually came from different neighborhoods, but at least you get a little bit more insight on what's going on, not only in Kings Grant, but also around Kings Grant. But as you can see, 58 crimes total. Here's the breakdown of each and every single one of those. If you need help better researching this neighborhood, just let me know. Moving on to debatably the most desirable neighborhood in all of Fayetteville, we have the Gates 4 community. The commute time that you could expect when you're inside the Gates 4 community is roughly somewhere between 20 to 30 minutes. Again, that is going to depend on where you are living in the neighborhood, but roughly speaking, 20 to 30 minutes. Similar to the Kings Grant neighborhood, this community, it has condos and townhomes, as well as single-family residences. So home prices in this area, they can definitely be a little different, but again, anywhere from $150,000 if we're including condos and townhomes, all the way up to $600,000, $700,000. If we're not including condos and townhomes, somewhere in the range of $250,000 plus. I would say this is a very good neighborhood in terms of VA loan compatibility because, again, most homes in this neighborhood were built in the early 2000s, and I believe they're actually still developing in this neighborhood. So the Gates 4 community falls under the Jack Britt High School District. According to niche.com, Jack Britt rated as an A overall, and they are ranked number 2 in the entire Fayetteville, North Carolina area for STEM programs. Jack Britt has roughly 1,900 students in the area, and of course they do offer AP courses. One of the plus sides of Gates 4 as well is the commute times to grocery stores and all that stuff. Right outside of the neighborhood off of Lakeview Road, there's a Harris Teeter and a bunch of fast food chains right there. I mean, it's probably got to be less than 5 minutes. As soon as you're out of the neighborhood, it's got to be less than 5 minutes away. The commute time for things to do in the area as well, it is relatively low. You are closer to some parts in Hope Mills than you are to Fayetteville. For example, if you wanted to go to the movie theater, there's a movie theater right down the road from Jack Britt. I think it's like 7 minutes away. Same with like a Walmart or a Lowe's. You're going to be closer to the ones in Hope Mills than you are going to be to the ones in Fayetteville. Last but not least, crime for the Gates 4 community. Using the Fayetteville Police Department's crime mapping tool, I click dead center of the neighborhood, and I don't know if there's just a bug or something, but it is reported on there that there are 0 crimes inside the neighborhood. Now, all the crimes that are going to come up on this bubble right here is pulling from outside the neighborhood. My second go-to website, if I can't find anything on the Fayetteville Police Department's crime mapping website, is going to be neighborhoodscout.com. Makes the area, generally speaking, from least safe to most safe. The Gates 4 neighborhood, according to Neighborhood Scout, is all roughly within that third echelon out of 10 for neighborhood safeness. So overall, you get a very good school, you get very low crime, and you don't have to commute very long for most places that you want to go to. I should add, Gates 4 is also a gated community as well, and they also have their own 18-hole golf course, which most of the neighborhood is surrounded by. Moving on to number 4, this is for everybody who loves to live rurally or just a bit further outside of city limits. We have the Baywood neighborhood. The commute time from Baywood to Fort Liberty is roughly around 25 to 30 minutes, and most of that commute time will be spent on the highway. For home prices in the Baywood area, you could expect anywhere from $300,000 all the way up to $600,000 plus. As far as VA loan compatibility goes, it's pretty similar to the last two that we did. Most homes in this neighborhood are built around the early 2000s. So again, most of the plumbing and electrical work is done more up to code, or at least what code is nowadays. Now for the local high school, all of Baywood falls under the Cape Fear High School District. According to niche.com, Cape Fear High School rated as a B+ overall and rated as number 7 in best public high school for the Fayetteville, North Carolina area. Cape Fear has roughly 1,500 students, and they offer AP courses here as well. Also similar to the last two, as far as community goes, the Baywood neighborhood is built around a golf course. It is 18 holes. However, this community is not gated. I think Baywood is probably one of the easier golf courses out there if you're into golf. It's also comparatively cheaper to some of the other ones that are in the area. Personally, I think the Baywood golf course is my favorite in the area. I just think that is very beginner friendly. Anyways, as far as local amenities goes, there's a Food Lion right down the road. It's a very big Food Lion at that. There's a Carly C's just a little bit further down the road from that Food Lion. But if you're looking for a Walmart or a Sam's Club or anything like that, you're going to have to go into town, and that's roughly going to be about 25 to 30 minutes away. Last but not least, talking on crime for the Baywood neighborhood, the Fayetteville Police Department's crime mapping website, it does not actually go that far. So we are going to be using the same website that we used for the last one, just to make sure that we're covering all of our bases here. So the area ranks as a 3, maybe a 4 out of 10. And again, that's mainly due to how rural the area is. That brings us to our 5th and final neighborhood that we are going to be taking a look at, and that is the Cypress Lakes neighborhood located in Hope Mills, North Carolina. So Cypress Lakes is actually a pretty big area, and it's not necessarily one gated community like most of the other neighborhoods that we looked at today are. This one is really just a mix and a blend of kind of the best parts of each, and you throw them all together. Home prices in the Cypress Lakes neighborhood, generally speaking, you could expect anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000. Most homes in this area were built in the early 2000s. They are still developing in this area as well. So, following along the same guidelines as we've used for all the other neighborhoods, is because homes in this area are typically newer, I typically see less issues come up with VA loans. Now, moving on to schools for the Cypress Lakes neighborhood. Cypress Lakes falls under the Grace Creek High School District. According to niche.com, Grace Creek ranked as a B- overall. They have roughly 1,400 students, and they do offer AP courses here as well. Now, there are local amenities nearby. For example, if you were to go just 15 minutes towards town, you would be hitting the Walmart and the Lowe's, but there's also all kinds of restaurants that are over there. There's also a bunch of fast food joints just around the corner. Commute time to the high school, depending on where you're at, Cypress Lakes can literally be right across the street from Grace Creek High School. Now, that's not all of the neighborhood, but there is a small portion of Cypress Lakes where it is literally across the street. Now, Cypress Lakes does have a golf course as well, and it is not a gated community. Now, moving on to crime, because Cypress Lakes is in the Hope Mills, North Carolina city, it obviously will not fall under the Fayetteville Police Department's crime mapping. So we're going to be using the same website that we used for the last two. Much of the Grace Creek area rates as a 1 out of 10, and another good chunk of it would be maybe a 2 or 3 out of 10. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully you guys found some kind of value from this video and it helped you out in some way. If you are looking at buying or selling in these areas, feel free to shoot me a text or give me a call at this number right here. The team and I would be more than happy to help you guys out. Again, thank you guys for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.